Hi everyone. Many thanks for joining us today. We are going to be having an interactive session today with Durham University representative, one of the most prestigious universities in the UK. We are going to be checking facts and figures, ranking, and everything we need to know about Durham University. So, joining us today is Grant. Hi Grant, can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Okay, so Grant is going to be telling us everything we need to know today. And if you have any questions, you can please drop your questions at the chat box. Hi, Grant, over to you, please.
Hey, thank you so much, Gloria, for the kind introduction. If I just share my screen now, hopefully you can see some slides. So as well as introducing a bit about Durham University, the main reason I'm here is to talk about our new MSc in Energy Engineering Management, which is a very exciting new program that is launching this year. So we're all quite excited about that, and that's the main topic of today's discussion. Okay, I'd like to first of all start by giving you a welcome and overview, and then talk a little bit more about the detail of the course, and we'll also have some input from a current student from Durham University and also colleagues who are a bit more familiar with the admissions process than I am. So the people that are on the call are myself. My name is Grant Ingram. I'm an engineering academic at the University of Durham, and I'm also the joint program director of this program. This program is a joint program with the Business School and Engineering and the Durham Energy Institute, and yeah, I've been involved in it since its inception. But we also have Ned on the call. Ned is one of our current students in the Department of Engineering. He's currently studying on our MSc in Renewable Energy, and he'll be talking about his experiences of studying in the university at the appropriate point in a few minutes. And then finally, last but by no means least, we also have Dane Wallace, who's our faculty international development manager, and he's a bit more familiar with the actual admissions process than I am. I'm an academic. I deal with the academic content of the course, and he'll be guiding you through what you need to do to apply to this particular course. So that's the lineup of speakers, and yeah, we'll be pleased to take questions as we go through the. If you put your questions in the chat, we'll take the questions at the end, but feel free to ask them any time. Okay, so what we're going to talk about, I've got the welcome and overview, talking about the highlights, Durham University, who's been involved in the program, and a few bits and pieces about living in Durham. It's a very beautiful city, and I'll talk about some of the advantages of living in Durham, and perhaps some of the reasons why you might not want to live in Durham, of which there are only a few. Then I want to talk a little bit more about the content and structure of the program, so what taught modules we have, what skills you can develop, and a little bit about the projects and guest lectures, and so on and so forth. And last but by no means least, I want to talk about how we built in careers consideration from the ground up when building this program. Okay, and then we're going to have a detailed look at a couple of the key modules. I've just picked two kind of modules out of the collection, just to give you a bit of flavour of what you'll be studying, and then I'll talk a little bit more about the Strategic Engineering and Business project, which is really the capstone of the degree program, where we bring it all together. And then we've got scholarships and FAQs to talk about, and then we'll do Q&A at the end. Okay, so without further ado, let's crack on to that. Some highlights about the course and the university. So we're operating in the historic city of Durham, which is a beautiful and very safe environment. It's lovely, leafy and green. I've got a backdrop behind me that looks a lot like the way it is at the moment. It's springtime here in Durham, so all the leaves are turning green. We've got some nice spring foliage out. It's all very beautiful. We are in the world's top 100, and we also are England's third oldest university. So we've been around a while, and we have a pretty good reputation. We also have a business school that is highly ranked globally and is also triple accredited. I'll come back to what that means in a minute. And as I said earlier, this is a partnership program between engineering, the business school, and also this thing called the Durham Energy Institute, which I'm confident that most of you will not have heard of, but I'll talk about why that institute was important in developing this course. One of the things we're trying to do in this course is bring students from across the globe to this course. So I'm particularly keen to be talking to people from outside the UK, from Nigeria, and there's a couple of reasons for that, both from the program and the university's point of view. From the program's point of view, is the climate issues that we deal with, the transition to net zero, are a global problem. We all share the same planet, so there's no particular point in trying to solve the problems in one area and then just simply create them in others, which has happened in the past. And so we want to kind of make sure that the globe is equipped with the skills needed to transition to net zero. And also, any serious engineering or business activity that you take part in is a multinational endeavor in this day and age. So you need to be able to work with people from different cultures and different backgrounds. And the best way to do that is to meet them and interact with them whilst at university. This course has a distinct technical applied focus. So we are a very academically rigorous university. We have some of the finest scholars in the world. But this course is designed to give you skills you can go out and use in a workplace. Okay, we're not talking about 19th century or medieval manuscripts here. We're talking about things that you can actually go out and use at the end. We also have very strong industrial links in the project and visits and talks, and I'll talk about those a little bit more. And we also think this course will give us excellent employment opportunities. Well, we'll give you excellent employment opportunities once you've finished it and go out into the world of work. A couple of pictures on the right of the two departments involved. There's engineering there. I'm actually looking at you probably from over here, if you can see my mouse pointer, staring out at the cathedral, and this is Dubs a little bit further up the hill at present. Okay, Durham University, third oldest university in England, established in 1832. One of a small group of traditional collegiate universities in the UK. So we have departments that do the teaching, and we have colleges which kind of provide the communities. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. We are part of a World Heritage Site. Okay, the Castle and Cathedral, you can see on the slide on the right-hand side, form a World Heritage Site. It's been a World Heritage Site for a number of years, and it is a stunning building and a stunning location. I'm very lucky to walk past there every day when I come into work, and the view never really gets old. We are also a very good university, so I can tell you we're a great university, and you may or may not believe me because I might or might not look credible, but there are, throughout the presentation, we've got some external validation of those statements. So, for example, we're a World Top 100 university in the QS World University Rankings, which is pretty impressive given the size of this university. We are in the top 5 in engineering for the Complete University Guide, and I'll talk through some more various league tables there, but hopefully that gives you a flavour that we do pretty well in these various rankings. So staff and students come from over 120 countries, so we have a diverse social and academic community, and I've talked about why that is a good thing for you as a student, and why that is a good thing for the world as we try and deal with these very much global problems as we enter the net zero future. Okay, the business school. So here's a few bits and pieces about the business school that hopefully convince you that it's a serious organization. 66th in the European Business School ranking 2022, 7th in the UK, top 100, again from a Financial Times ranking in 2022. The business school is one of a few places that is triple accredited, and I appreciate there's a bit of an acronym salad there, but basically you can get your programs audited and validated by various organizations, and Dubs has chosen to get them audited and validated by 3 different organizations at the same time, and not many places that do that, but it is an indication of the sort of quality that we deliver in the business school. There are 4 departments in the business school. It's actually a very large organization. It's a bit larger than engineering, and 2 of those are involved in this particular program, but you'll be part of the business school and engineering if you join this program. Okay, engineering, lots of activity going on here. Again, you can see that in various league tables we do pretty well. We have, if we look at research outputs, we have 98% of our research rated as world leading or internationally excellent in the recent research assessment exercise. That's an assessment of the outputs that we produce as academics. As I said, we're 5th in the Complete University Guide, and we're 7th and 8th in various guides to engineering in the UK as well. So hopefully you get the flavour that this is an elite university, and that it's not just me saying that. You have some external validation of other things going on as well. And I don't try and follow these league tables particularly precisely, but they do give you an indication that that we're doing reasonably well. And the other thing I want to just leave on engineering with is we're actually the first course of its kind in England. We're the first university to teach engineering in England in 1838. So just after the university was founded, people started doing engineering programs. I think the exam had something like 100 compulsory questions in it. So things have changed a bit since then, but we have been teaching engineering for quite a long time at Durham. Okay, the Energy Institute, which is the organization I said that you would not have heard of, is a research organization that is designed to bring together researchers to try and solve the whole spectrum of energy problems. It's been going for quite some time, and it's deliberately a integrated organization. So it covers everything from the social side to the technical side as well. And that's hugely important because if you want to solve the climate crisis or the transition to net zero, I prefer to call it the transition to net zero. But if you want to deliver that transition to net zero, you need to get everyone on board. And it's not just the technical problem. So, if you look in Europe in the news at the moment, Germany has just closed down all of its functioning nuclear power plants because they have social concerns about those. And I'm not really sure the technical concerns are justified. Now, I don't want to kind of, argue whether that's a good or a bad thing. It's just an example that illustrates the links between these two activities. The Durham Energy Institute has been advising us from the start on this particular program, and various people from the DEI have advised us on how to set up the program and what to do. So we've had input from a cutting-edge energy institute, cutting-edge researchers about what should and should not be in this particular program. Okay, let's talk a little bit about university life, and Ned will chip in at the end of this particular section to give his perspective about what is university life. Okay, one thing I would say is university is about much more than academic success. And I say that as someone who's very passionate about academic standards and very keen for people to achieve the best academic result that they can. But university is much more about just studying and being able to do calculations or write essays or produce presentations and so on and so forth. What we want to do when you come here is for you to develop as individuals. So we have 17 distinctive college communities, and as a postgraduate, you can join pretty much any of those. There is one that people tend to join, and you also have opportunities both in colleges and outside the college as well, take part in theatre, music, sport, and volunteering. And I would strongly encourage you to do so. Okay, university is about so much more than just the academic knowledge. Okay, if you want to just get the academic knowledge, you can buy a textbook and you can read it. It's a bit of a solace experience, but the information is there, and you don't have to travel to the UK. You don't have to kind of take part in lectures and things like that. You can get information in a fairly uninspiring way if you just buy a textbook. So there's much more than just information when you're taking part in an MSc. We also have leadership and personal development programs, and we have some of those built into the course as well. So colleges provide a home for you. Okay, they're 17 colleges. They're all mixed communities of undergraduate and postgraduate students. And they're deliberately designed to have students studying across all subjects, and they give you a sense of belonging and a human-sized community to be involved in from day one. They're generally speaking, students get very passionate about their colleges and get very excited about them. So they do things like they have sports teams and they have social events and things like that do stuff like that. If you don't want to meet any undergraduates, you can join Ustoff College, which is dedicated to postgraduate students. I think that's the one actually shown on the right side there. But they are a distinctive feature of Durham. We separate out kind of like the community and the academic side of things there. So living in Durham. Okay, a few things to say about living in Durham. It's a safe and small city. Okay, I've lived here for a very large number of years. I'm not going to tell you exactly how many, but pretty much no bother at all throughout my time in Durham. Very, very low crime rates, very safe to walk around at any time of the day and night. It does have centuries of history and heritage, so we can see it's a cathedral, and there's various other old buildings around. And actually, you can also, if you look closely, see some evidence of various energy transitions that have taken place. This used to be a very big coal mining area, and has now turned very much into an area where we don't coal mine, but we do quite a lot of research and development on new and renewable energy, and so on and so on. In fact, the science site that I'm in used to be a colliery, so we used to be an area where they dug out coal. I don't think it was ever a particularly successful colliery, because it closed some time ago, but it's an interesting transformation of the use of the site from an old form of energy to a much newer one. Okay, Castle and Cathedral form the UNESCO World Heritage Site, which we've seen before. You can walk to and from most locations in under 30 minutes. I walk to work every day. It's great. If you want a bigger city, we're quite close to Newcastle. So Newcastle, you might know them from the football team. It's quite a big city with a pulsing nightlife. If you want to go to London, it's possible to do it. It's a relatively long day trip, but you can do a day trip to London. It's sort of 3 hours on the train and then 3 hours back. There also is stuff going on in Durham as well. We have various activities and things you can see, and there's a few pictures on the right-hand side that show you some of the Light Festival that takes place every couple of years in Durham. So it's a nice, safe place to live and study. It's probably not the place if you're really into a pulsing nightlife with lots of high-end wine bars. I'm an academic, I don't go to those, but it is a small city and it is quite a student-dominated city. So if you want something that has a pulsing city nightlife, then maybe Durham is not your first choice. Okay, other thing as well is we offer a wide variety of student support. So if you need help, you can ask us about it. We have a wide range of support services, so we can advise on things like immigration, healthcare, and GP services. GP is basically a general practitioner, that's doctors, finance, and we do have a student wellbeing program. We have a counselling service. We have chaplaincy and faith organisations, and we also are very keen on equality, diversity, and inclusion. So that is the UK kind of jargon for making sure that we respect and incorporate people from all walks of life. We don't want people to be put off from joining university because of any particular characteristic, and we want them to do the best that they can when they come here. That's very important to us, and it's very much something that we're working on from the top down in the university. Just to say one thing about counselling, on the few occasions I've noticed students having particular problems, the support services have been very good, and I've seen students have good success with engaging with those services. They are, I think, particularly good at Durham University. Okay, I'm going to hand over for a couple of minutes to Ned to talk about the experience of work of studying at Durham University. Ned, are you available?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me, Grant?
I can hear you, Ned.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ned Atewogboye. I'm currently studying for my MSc in New and Renewable Energy at Durham University. I think Grant has put it properly. I just have to probably say a few things to throw a bit of perspective from the student, from my view as a student at the university. So the need to study renewable energy for me came from my interest in the energy transition and the reduction of greenhouse gas emission. My background is in operations in the oil and gas industry. I have 8 years there. But I wanted to move on to something that was more exciting. I felt something that would be more valuable for the future, and as well the interest in reducing greenhouse emission coming from a place like Nigeria, where we see a lot of impact of emissions already. So it's and a lot of opportunities as well to decarbonize. So that's what brought me to Durham University for my study in renewable energy. My experience, honestly, so far it's been very, very, very wonderful. I'd like to encourage you to get on it as fast as possible. What I would like to say is that you should try to resume as early as you can, because the programs, the modules, they hit you very fast. Before you know what's happening, they hit you very fast. Very interactive, very engaging. If this is what you intend to do, if it's in the line of your passion, I think you would enjoy it very well. I took a break from work to do this because I felt I was going to enjoy it, and honestly, I'm enjoying it. Exams are just around the corner already, so it's almost time to wrap it up. But it's been a very wonderful experience. I've enjoyed every bit of it. I drive about 40 minutes to Durham every day for lectures, or every time that I have a lecture, and the experience is as well what it's good ambience, good environment. It's very, very multinational. You get to meet people from various walks of life, majorly students as well, but you get to meet generations, the generation of different variants. Then there's this diversity and cultural balance that you start to see. The lecturers, of course, you would not, it's just what you would expect from a UK top university, top notch, always willing to help, always willing to support. materials are very readily accessible. But honestly, I think it's worth every like I said, I stopped working in a very good oil and gas industry to do this, and I have no regrets. As in, I have no regrets. It's been worth every bit of my time, and I would do it again if I had to. But of course, I don't have to do it again anyway. So, well, I think that's my perspective of life as a student. It's been engaging. It's been very interactive. You would enjoy it if it's something that you intend to do. If there are any questions with regards international studentship and everything, and able to support with the answers maybe much later. But from my perspective as a student, that is the much that I would say at the moment. Grant, over to you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Ned. I'm very glad that you're enjoying the course so far. Yeah, exams are just around the corner, so good luck with those, Ned. Yeah, okay. On with the presentation. Okay, so just to say, what I want to do now is just talk a little bit more about the content and structure of this particular program, and outline what it is that we're doing. So the objective really at the start has been to, what we're trying to do with this program is we're trying to position graduates to exploit the economic transformation as the world moves to zero carbon operation. Now, we've chosen that phrase quite carefully, and it is quite capitalistic in the sense that we're talking about graduates exploiting something, which maybe sounds a bit greedy. But in actual fact, if you want to have a zero carbon operation, you need, if I, for example, want to become more lower carbon, which I do, I need to change the heating system in my home, and I need to, reduce the emissions from my car. And both of those things require me to give someone money to provide that service or that product. And actually, once I'm looking into replacing my heating system with a heat pump in the sort of next couple of years. And once I find someone to do that and I'm happy with it, I will hand over a large amount of money. They will do it, and I will thank them for taking my money, because they'll be providing me a solution to something that I want. And if you want to kind of have a net zero environment, you need lots of these products that operate on a net zero basis as well. And so you hopefully will do this course. You'll get some skills, and then you'll go out and you'll generate the products and the services that help us move towards zero carbon operation. So there's quite a hard-nosed commercial edge there, but that is how we are going to make zero carbon a reality. We need people who will actually go and do the difficult work of producing products and services that will deliver this. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to immerse students in both business management and the underlying technologies of energy conversion. So there are both, this is a joint program with Dubs, and we want people to be as equally proficient in the business side as in the technology side as well. So, you have a wide choice of MSCs you can do, and you can do a very technical MSc, and you can do a much broader MSc, and this fits into the broader category. So we want you to understand energy management. We want you to be able to critically review and apply business management and energy conversion knowledge to practical situations. And we also want you to develop a critical awareness of current issues, about what is going on in the leading edge of this particular practice. And those last 2 points, that the word critical comes up along with MSCs, and that's really what you're looking at when you're trying to differentiate MSCs from undergraduates. You're looking for someone who is much more critical, rather than just be able to do something, can review and understand and argue about what the best course of action is in a particular situation, both in a management side and also in a technical side as well. So that's what we're trying to do with the objective, the program objective, produce graduates who can go out and do good things in the world, and also get paid handsomely for doing. Okay, in terms of the program structure, what we have here is we have 3 types of modules. An MSc at Durham makes up 180 credits. You have 60 credits of core modules, 30 credits of elective modules, and those modules at the top that I'm highlighting are kind of taught in a fairly conventional way. You'll probably have seen those before when you've done undergraduate programs. You have lectures, you have seminars, you have some sort of assessment, perhaps an exam at the end. In engineering, the lectures might be once a week, and then they build up to an examination or assessment at the end. You have some we pick for you and some that you can pick, and I'll talk about the titles in a second. Then we have 2 projects which are very much more you doing things rather than us sort of teaching you and following a syllabus. These are modules where you very much set the pace and decide what gets done. The first of those is a business and engineering systems module, and this is the group activity that you do as part of the course. As I said, learning how to deal with different people and interact with different people is vitally important. So this is the group activity. So this is a business and engineering systems module. So you're going to be producing largely paper-based design of a business and engineering system that addresses both the sort of financial aspects of that product or service and the technical aspects as well. And you do a group activity, then you have a group report and a group presentation at the end there. And then we have 60 credits of our strategic engineering and business project. And this is the capstone activity. This is an individual activity where you'll have an individual response to a sort of cohort problem. And you'll be guided in that by us, but it's up to you to go and show that you can do the business and the engineering in that particular aspect. So those are the two major aspects of the course. And then one thing that's a little bit different about this course to other courses at Durham University is that we have a credit-bearing career and professional development module. So when you come here, we want you to be thinking almost immediately about what you're going to do after you leave this wonderful place, and you know, how your career is going to develop and so on and so forth. So you're going to produce a reflective portfolio as you go through that activity. It's worth 10 credits because we think it's important, so you should get some kind of academic credit for that. A lot of other programs and require you to do that sort of in your own time, but we think that's important enough that it deserves some credits in this particular program. Okay, in terms of titles, in core modules, you have 60 credits of core modules. You have 30 from Dubs in 2 15-credit modules and 30 from engineering in 3 10-credit modules. For the Dubs ones, we have new venture creation. I'll talk about that in more detail, but that's about how you actually go and generate new things in small or large organizations. And the energy, climate, economics, and finance, really, the title kind of speaks for itself. That's covering how you finance, new energy projects in the world at the moment. And we have 3 sort of technical modules, one of which renewable energy technologies covers things that kind of exist already in terms of generating energy from wind or from hot renewables. And then we have kind of 2 things that cover the 2 largest areas of energy use. So if you look at kind of, where energy goes and where carbon is produced, heating and cooling is a big aspect of that, and so is future vehicles, is vehicles. So these 2 modules consider different ways in which you can come down to a net zero method there. And then you have a variety of elective modules. I've picked some from the catalogue this year. That does change from year to year, but it gives you a flavour of things that you could do, and you can pick 30 credits of those. Those are different sizes, but you can kind of mix and match around those elective modules. Okay, just to give you a flavour for the timetable, as Ned said, things happen relatively quickly. So you start off with an induction week. Okay, and I don't want anyone to feel that is optional. Okay, you want to be here if you possibly can for that induction week, because that contains important information that will help you get started. And what you don't really want to do is start on the back foot where you're kind of behind before you arrive. So plan to get here for that first day of the induction week, and you'll be ready to go from day one. You then have some core and elective modules running. We have a little break at the end of the year for Christmas. We have a little break here just as spring starts as well. And then you have the exams taking place there. So you'll have a relatively light exam load. And then after the exams, you carry on with your project till you get to the end of the year. In September. So it's a full 12-month program, and you should plan to be in Durham for the majority of that time for the 12 months. So you do get kind of 6 weeks annual leave. So treat it a bit like a job where you're going to be here for a year, and you're going to have a couple of weeks off for doing things here and then. In terms of the individual activities, we have business and engineering systems really takes place sort of before the turn of the year and kind of winds down just after that. And then your strategic engineering and business project ramps up. So by the end, that's the only thing you'll be doing. All the taught and core modules are out of the way by this point. So in July and August, you'll be doing the strategic and engineering business project. Basically, that's the only thing you're doing at the end of the project. Sorry, at the end of the program. And I haven't shown careers and professional skills, but there are sessions throughout the year. Okay, in terms of mode delivery, you're taught by experts in their field. So many colleagues who work on the cutting edge of activities, and I also like to think I work on the cutting edge of activities as well. And they go and teach, and they bring that expertise into the lectures and various other things that are going on. So you're going to be assessed by a mixture of lectures. The program is going to be delivered and assessed. Lectures are quite common in engineering, particularly if you're going through a technical topic. They're a very good way of getting through that. We also have quite a lot of small group activity. Seminars are probably more popular in the Dubs activity. You'll have design group meetings, and you'll have individual meetings with your individual or small group meetings with your project supervisors to talk about how you're doing with the project. And assessment is a mixture of coursework examinations. We have some in-person written examinations and some remain sort of online, but it varies. So you should expect a variety of different assessment methods. My personal view is that it doesn't matter what the assessment method is. If you know your stuff, it doesn't really matter what mode of assessment that you use. Okay, we've tried to work closely with industry in developing this program, and we're planning a guest speaker program. So we'll have people coming in to talk about energy and industry as we go through the program. We have business projects. So what I mean by that is the project is designed to be industrially relevant. So is designed to be a relevant and current issue. It's not just meant to be an academic thing. We also have site visits, so we're going to visit a number of energy sites around mainly the northeast of England to show you things operating in practice. And I've talked about how you interact. So we have a careers and professional development module, and you're also welcome to interact with the careers services kind of on your own as well, but we do have some credit-bearing activity there as well. Okay, just to talk a little bit about one of the Dubs modules. This is taught by my colleague Joanna Berry in Dubs, and this is really about making something new in a larger or smaller business. And it's got a few key aspects to that, one of which is just to understand what entrepreneurship is and how it fits into the organization. And then you need to sort of understand a little bit about the requirements that you need to create new businesses and what are the challenges to actually so, basically what are the things stopping you doing that as well. And then in all this kind of so there's a few bullet points that just illustrate a little bit more detail about what is happening inside this module. But you need to understand a little bit about small business owners and also large businesses. So you need to basically understand the stakeholders in this activity. And you also need to kind of understand how entrepreneurship works in small firms and in large firms as well. So this isn't just about doing a sort of spin-out activity where you're on your own in a small startup and so on and so forth. This is also about how you create new ventures within larger organizations. And then there's also kind of like how to manage relationships between different stakeholders as you're trying to create that new venture creation. Joanna has a wide experience of doing this sort of thing. She was actually involved in various new ventures in her career and does an excellent job in explaining what goes on there. So that's a fantastic module. It's in Dubs. It's not one that I personally teach on, but I'm very excited that we have that in the program. Okay, a little bit of detail about an engineering module. Again, I just kind of picked this one almost at random. So it has two major topics: wind turbines and thermal renewables. So you're looking at things like, I picked a slide from one of the lectures there just to show you there. This is basically looking at how wakes interact with each other. So if you have a line of wind turbines, the first one produces quite a lot more power than the next 8 or so. And this is just looking at how you actually estimate that, how you calculate that, and get a good estimate for the energy introduction there. For thermal renewables, we look at a variety of ways of generating energy from heat, and that heat doesn't just have to come from burning things. You can get it from solar power. So you can do things like, if you have particularly strong sunlight, you can generate steam, and you can pass that into a steam turbine and generate electricity. You can also do that with a solar panel directly, and that tends to be a cheaper solution at the moment. So that tends to be dominating the market at the moment, but it is worthwhile knowing about the other technologies. And there's various other ways of doing that. And this is a slide from one of the lectures looking at radiation onto the Earth, so you get a bit of understanding of what's going on there. Okay, and then the capstone activity is our strategic engineering and business project. And this basically has kind of 2 kind of aspects to it. There's the research methods training activity that goes on, and then there's the actual individual work that you do, weighted about 20/80. So your research methods is understanding how you do data collection, how you do ethics, what is presentation and good writing and things like that. And as part of that, you have to kind of produce a literature review where you survey what's going on in the particular activity. The actual topic is an individual response to a cohort scenario. So we're going to put some effort into setting up a scenario that's realistic. We're going to try and get business speakers in to talk about the particular scenario, and then you have an individual response to that particular cohort scenario. So you go and do your own, provide your own research and activity on that particular cohort. scenario. So it's a common, well-developed scenario that you then go and produce an individual response to. Okay. Now, I think I have Dane here, who's going to talk a little bit more about how you would actually go about applying. So Dane, are you on the call?
Yes, just yeah, if you can hear me okay.
I can hear you okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Some great information there from both our professor, but also our current student. So my name's Dane. I'm just going to talk to you a little bit now about the entry criteria. I can see someone's asked about that in the chat already. And also the applications procedure as well, specifically for students from Nigeria. So if you can just move to the next slide, please. There we are. Just forgive me, I was looking at my second screen. So from Nigeria, generally look for a 4-year bachelor's degree, specifically in an engineering or related background. Obviously, this is a course heavily based within engineering, obviously with the business context there as well. So we do need you to have some key skills coming into the programme around engineering. We've got kind of 2 tiers of universities in Nigeria. So the top 6 Nigerian universities, we generally look for an overall CGPA of 2.8. So that's universities like Ibadan, University of Lagos, etc. And then for the next kind of 7 to 100 universities in Nigeria, we would look for a minimum CGPA of 3.5. Good news as well around English language requirements. We can actually accept the WIAC or the WASSCE English certificate, grade B or above. Nigerian students find that really useful. But of course, we accept a wide variety of other tests, including, of course, IELTS, TOEFL, IBT, etc., that you can take. Generally, you can actually apply before you've taken these tests. Many students will receive English language as a condition of their offer. So yeah, don't necessarily wait or worry that you have to get your English test first. You can just apply before then, and also you can apply before you have your final results. So again, we would just give you what's called a conditional offer. So you can come and study on the condition you finish your degree with this certain CGPA. So again, there's no necessary delays there. Also saw in the chat as well that are we open for September? We absolutely are. We're still very much accepting students onto this programme for the September intake. Would encourage you to be as quick as you can, maybe. Professor Ingram's going to go on to talk about scholarships. Obviously, we have a limited amount of those, but they are still available for students from anywhere. And just to point out as well, with the business school courses, we have an application fee of £60 just in response to demand. We're obviously a triple accredited Russell Group Business School, received many applications, so we just ask for that application fee there as well. And also just quickly a touch on a point that Ned made. So on the international cohort of our students, we have a WhatsApp group for our incoming students that I manage. And right now we've got about 25 different nationalities from all over the world. For wider engineering, and business will be even more than that. So it truly is a kind of multi-national university that you're coming to study at, with an ever-growing population of students from Nigeria. So there's a really well-established Nigerian and wider West African community here for you to take part in as well. So yeah, any more questions, or if you did your bachelor's in another country, just pop those in the chat and I can address those for you. And I'll pass back over to you, Grant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yeah, no, it's great to interact with Nigerian students. I've never actually been to Nigeria myself, but we have done quite a bit of professional development with the Nigerian liquefied natural gas company. So we've done quite a few short courses over the years. I think it was about 8 years ago or so since we last did a course for them, but it's always been great fun interacting with students from Nigeria. Okay, scholarships. So we do have a scholarship program built into this program, which we included in the launch, and this basically is worth about £7,000 off the tuition fee for September 2023 entry. We do have 1 round of scholarships remaining, and the requirement really is to hold an offer by the 3rd of July 2023. And the purpose of these scholarships was to improve our equality, diversion, and inclusion. So they were specifically designed to do that. So that's kind of the slant we're putting on them when we make our selections. But basically, we were originally asking for an essay or so on and so forth, but that seemed to be a barrier to applying. So now we're just considering, certainly for the first year, everyone who's applying for the program. So all you need to do basically is have your application complete and supporting documentation together 2 weeks before the offer deadline. So so there is a scholarship available built in for that. We have a number of those available for the course, and we're looking to encourage particular students to come to the program by awarding scholarships in that way. There are other scholarships available in the university. If you're lucky enough to be at Durham University, you get an alumni discount, and there are other sources of funding. There's some links there you can have a look at there should you so wish. Okay, a few frequently asked questions that come up. So one of which is people ask, well, do I need to do a lot of reading before I get to the course? And the answer is no, not really. You probably just want to keep up to date with what's going on in the current issues in energy, but that's all you need. The course is pretty self-contained. There's no need to do a great deal of reading before you actually start the program. In terms of contact hours, it kind of varies as the program goes on. So at the end of the program, where you're working on your project, you will have very, very few contact hours because you're working as an individual on that particular activity. You might have a meeting a week or so to discuss that project, or even some weeks you might have no meetings. You're just preparing your work. So at that point, it's quite low contact. When you start, actually, there's much more contact going on there. So as part of the sort of the core elective modules, you will have a program of timetabled activities. So for each 10 credits in engineering, we normally have about one lecture and a problem sheet each week, and then that builds up to an exam, and you do sort of about 6 of those, the equivalent, or so and so forth. So you might have kind of 6 hours or so of kind of lectures or seminars or activities, plus some design activity and various other things going on there. So it will be different from an undergraduate degree where you have lots and lots of contact hours. As an MSc, we're expecting you to work independently much more, but that gives you an idea, I would say 6 to 10 contact hours in the first part of the course, and tailing off as you become much more independent towards the end. Okay, how much independent work is there? Well, I guess there is I guess the biggest thing I would regard as being truly independent is the Strategic Business and Engineering project, and that's about 60 credits out of 180, which is about a third, I would say, is fully kind of independent. And you still have to do the work on the other ones, but there's a bit more guidance about what it is that you're expected to do, whereas the actual truly independent work is probably about a third or so. We do have group work built in our design and our engineering and business systems group module I talked about earlier. So that's built in. Group work is always quite interesting because you get to meet lots of different people, and it can be quite fun. It also can be quite frustrating, but actually it's very, very good experience. And dealing with people is part and parcel of your skill set. So having an opportunity to do that and talk about it is very, very good. In terms of employment opportunities, which is something that people ask about, this particular program is new for this year, so we don't have a track record of graduates that we can parade in front of you. But we do have good employability in terms of our other programs, both in dubs and in engineering. So we're pretty confident that this program that graduates from this program will be in high demand. Okay. Questions and answers. Okay, I'll have a look at those there. Just to say, if you have any questions you don't think are answered, you can always email me. My email is on the screen there, g.l.ingram@durham.ac.uk. Oh, what have I done there? You can also Google me, and I'm quite happy to chat to you about things as well, or you can use the links to chat to people there. Okay, or you can contact SI UK as well, and they can pass on the queries as well. I'm sure that's also a route that's available to you. So lots of ways to ask questions and answer. So we've got some questions here. I don't know if I need to go through these, or is someone going to ask me these questions? Yes, here. Yeah. I think we've got some.
Hi, Grant.
Hi, Gloria.
That was really an interactive section. Enjoyed every part of it, and thank you so much. So yeah, we have some questions, and I think someone has been answering already, if I'm not mistaken.
Ned has been on the case.
Sorry?
I think Ned has been on the case. So he's been
yes, exactly. So we've been seeing cost of living, the payments plan,
I don't know if you can just go through them again.
Yeah, so someone asked about their engineering degree was for 5 years, is a minimum of 4 years, look for. So I'd have to defer to Dane about exactly what engineering degrees we would accept. But I certainly think if you've done more, it doesn't exclude you from doing the course. You know, if you've done more than the minimum, we would still accept you. I think that's true.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, Ned addressed one of those questions there. So yeah, it's just a minimum of 4. So yeah, if I think 5-year degrees are a little bit more common in Nigeria. So yeah, that's of course absolutely fine. Related to that, there was a question about a study gap. I don't think we kind of mind you having a gap. A lot of people who would be interested in this type of course will of course have some work experience behind them. So it doesn't necessarily matter how long it's been since you graduated. That's not a problem. In fact, you probably would be at an advantage there because you're not waiting for any results. You can apply straight away with your final transcript, so that shouldn't be a problem at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, if you've been away from study for a while and you come back, you actually bring quite a lot to the course. So actually, I think we generally, you know, if you've done some work, or you know, you want to transition from one university to another, then that's, you know, we'd be welcome, and that experience is very worthwhile academically. I think in the activity. So there was someone asking about a payment plan. I don't know very much about payment plans. I don't know, Dane, if you can talk about payment. I think the fees are not all due at once.
No, so I mean, you've got 2 options really. So one thing that happened recently was the pound crashed, so a lot of students did pay up front. That is an option, it's not compulsory. So we always say to international students, maybe keep an eye on the exchange rate, but you're welcome to either pay all at once, or you I think there's 3 dates. The year is basically broken up into 3 equal thirds. So your total fee, of course, minus any scholarship and any deposit that you pay for the course, would then be broken down into 3 thirds across there. So yeah, you've got a choice there.
Fantastic. All right, and I think we've dealt with those. Someone was asking about how much the deposit was, Dana. I don't actually know. I think it's I'll let you answer
That's
that.
the initial deposit.
Yeah, I think it's £2,000 for dubs, if someone can correct me. But again, that's typical for business schools in the UK due to our popularity. And of course, it is a deposit, so it comes off your fee. This is not in addition to your fee. And this is really just to secure your place on the course with us. So it's quite a common thing across the UK. But yeah, I think it's £2,000 for dubs, Durham University Business School, I should say.
Okay, fantastic. How much is the total course fee? So the course fee, I think, is set at, I'd actually have to look it up, but it's set at the engineering MSc rate. I don't know if you can remember it, Dane.
I should. I think it's around 23, the exact figure. We can get there in one moment. Certainly.
Oh, I have it.
Sorry, I was struggling to unmute there. For international students, it is 28.5.
Okay, big pardon, yeah.
Yeah, 28,500.
Yeah. But of course, with that, you've got the scholarships that are still available. So absolutely do get your application in 2 weeks before that July deadline to be within a chance of that. The scholarship that we have.
Fantastic. And then the other question that we had that I don't know how to answer, but someone asked, what's the cost of living? So I think there are some web pages about that that we might need to get back to you about that, but that is sort of listed as what sort of a typical number would be. I mean, the northeast of England is a relatively affordable place in the UK, but the UK is not a low cost country.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for Durham in particular, it's quite affordable. So we are a city of about 50,000 people, but almost half the population is actually students. There's about 24,000 students here at Durham. So we are a really famous university town in the UK. And as a consequence, there are some really quite affordable places to eat, to shop, things like this. So students, we do hear from our students that generally the cost of living certainly is affordable or lower than expected. Certainly lower than kind of larger cities, for instance, obviously London or Manchester and Birmingham. So yeah, the northeast of England is a region where we are, but in particular Durham we do tend to be on the average to low side in terms of cost of living. As part of your student visa, you do declare that you can support yourself for just over £1,000 per month. But that would include not just your accommodation, but any food, any books, any materials that you need. So again, that might give you an idea. So yeah, just over £1,000 GBP is what you declare on your visa. And of course, sorry, just to mention as well, you can actually work as a student up to 20 hours per week. And in the UK, I don't think generally students don't pay tax. So we have a minimum wage in the UK, which depending on your age is over £10 or £11, I think now. So you can actually earn a nice bit of extra money if you have time and need to, whilst studying as well.
Fantastic. Okay, hopefully that answers the question there. I think we've got all the questions there. We've answered. I think we've answered all of those. So unless if there are any further questions, do pop them in the chat and we can take them. But I think we've.
Okay, so right, I just have one question.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask if there's the scholarship for like first class students.
So the scholarship isn't particularly tied to your academic ability. So we have a number of scholarships to offer, and we'll be considering all applicants to the program for it. You know, we might be using it to try and boost numbers of international students from particular regions, or we might be you know, looking at your personal circumstances and deciding you know how can we get people here who might not be otherwise able to come. So it's not. You know, academic ability is obviously important, and you know, if you've got high academic scores, then you're probably more likely to get a scholarship than not. But it's not the only criteria in awarding the scholarship.
Yeah, and of course as well, if you're not thinking about the kind of new cohort coming in this year, do absolutely investigate scholarship schemes like Chevening, etc., which of course SI UK are very familiar with. If you're maybe thinking about next year or 25, something like this, there are quite a lot of opportunities actually for Nigerians to take a look at beyond the scholarships that just Durham has. There are kind of national schemes as well. So do a lot of research around that if you're not thinking about the 23 cohort.
Okay, thank you so much, Grant. Thank you so much, Dane. And it was such an interactive section with you today. Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. It was such an interactive session with you today. We learned a lot, and I really hope the students also have made their choices. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.